Welcome to our deep dive into the telltale signs of a corrupt country and the steps we can take to combat this pervasive issue. Now, before we start, let's be clear, no country gets a free pass here. Corruption is a global epidemic. It's like that distant cousin everyone pretends doesn't exist at family reunions, present in every culture, lurking under the surface, just waiting to ruin the potato salad. But today, we're not just here to diagnose the problem, we're here to offer solutions because, frankly,
Before we go ahead, please subscribe the channel for more valuable videos like this, and also don't forget to hit the bell icon. Thanking you. Let's come to the point again.
enough is enough. Think of this video as a crash course in spotting the red flags of corruption and, more importantly, learning how to fight back. We'll be your guide through this murky swamp of shady dealings and backroom agreements, shining a light on the tactics used to erode trust and steal from the public. We'll expose the tricks of the trade, the loopholes exploited, and the justifications used to defend the indefensible. This isn't just about pointing fingers at corrupt countries, it's about empowering all of us to demand better. So buckle up, grab your metaphorical magnifying glass, and let's get started. Let's start with the most recognizable face of corruption: bribery. It's like the gateway drug of shady dealings. We're talking those everyday instances where public officials, instead of doing their jobs, treat them like an all-you-can-eat buffet of personal gain. Need a driver's license? That'll be an extra fee. Want that construction permit approved? Slip a little something under the table. This insidious practice, no matter how small, eats away at the very fabric of society. It creates a two-tiered system where those who can pay get ahead while everyone else gets left behind. It's like trying to win a game where the rules are constantly changing and only a select few have the cheat codes. But here's the kicker. Bribery thrives in the shadows. It festers in an environment where accountability is non-existent and transparency is about as clear as a mud puddle. A functioning society requires a robust legal framework, right? A system where laws are applied equally, fairly, and transparently. But in a corrupt country, the rule of law becomes more like a loose set of guidelines open to interpretation, or should I say, manipulation. Imagine a justice system where the scales are perpetually tipped in favor of the wealthy and powerful, where influence buys you freedom and connections matter more than evidence. That's the reality when the rule of law crumbles under the weight of corruption. This lack of accountability breeds a culture of impunity, where corrupt officials operate with the confidence of a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat, knowing they can make the consequences disappear. Let's talk about transparency, or rather, the lack thereof. In a corrupt system, government operations become more secretive than a celebrity's burner phone. Budgets shrouded in mystery, public contracts awarded in smoke-filled backrooms, financial transactions. Let's just say they wouldn't pass an audit. This lack of transparency allows corruption to thrive like mold in a damp basement. Without the sunlight of public scrutiny, corrupt officials are free to operate with impunity, treating public funds like their own personal piggy banks. Remember, sunlight is the best disinfectant. When citizens are kept in the dark, it's no wonder corruption flourishes. Imagine a world where bank robbers could deposit their loot directly into the police station vault. Sounds ridiculous, right? Well, that's essentially what impunity for corrupt officials looks like. It's a system where the very people tasked with upholding the law are allowed to break it without consequence. This culture of impunity creates a vicious cycle. When corrupt officials face no repercussions for their actions, it emboldens them to push the boundaries even further. They become untouchable, operating with a sense of entitlement that would make even the most pampered house pet blush. This lack of accountability sends a chilling message. Crime does pay, as long as you're in the right tax bracket. Here's a sobering thought. Corruption is a thief, and its target, the well-being of everyday citizens. When public funds are siphoned off to line the pockets of corrupt officials, essential services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure suffer. Imagine hospitals lacking basic medical supplies, schools crumbling, and roads riddled with potholes. These are not just inconveniences, they are the direct consequences of a system that prioritizes personal gain over public good. Corruption robs citizens of their right to a decent quality of life, perpetuating a cycle of poverty and inequality. It's like trying to build a house on a foundation of quicksand, unsustainable and ultimately doomed to fail. Let's be clear. Corruption isn't just a financial drain, it's a ticking time bomb of social unrest. When citizens see their leaders prioritizing personal enrichment over the public good, it breeds a potent cocktail of anger, frustration, and disillusionment. This toxic brew can manifest in protests, demonstrations, and even violent uprisings. It's a desperate cry for change, a rejection of a system rigged against the people it's meant to serve. Corruption erodes trust in government, leaving a void readily filled by instability and chaos. It's like watching a house divided against itself, a recipe for disaster. In the twisted game of corruption, there are winners and losers. And spoiler alert, it's not a level playing field. Corruption fuels a system where a select few amass obscene wealth and power, while the majority struggle to make ends meet. This concentration of wealth creates a chasm between the haves and the have-nots, fueling social unrest and hindering economic growth. It's like trying to sail a ship where the weight is all in the bow. Eventually, the whole thing is going down. This stark inequality isn't an unfortunate byproduct of corruption, it's the whole point. Corruption thrives on maintaining this imbalance of power, ensuring that the elite remain firmly in control. By recognizing these signs and implementing effective strategies, we can work towards a future where corruption is a thing of the past. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and let's make a difference together. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the insidious creep of bribery to the corrosive effects of impunity. But amidst all the doom and gloom, there's a glimmer of hope. Because here's the thing about corruption, it thrives in silence. By speaking out against injustice, demanding transparency, and holding our leaders accountable, we can chip away at this pervasive problem. It won't be easy, and it won't happen overnight. But remember, even the most formidable